Welcome to game 2 of the series. Again, Looney and Cheese both contending to become the new star-crossed king. Cheese is currently up 1-0. The factions have been switched, and this time it is Looney's U.S. forces in the left versus Cheese's Ostheer in the right. We've got infantry, armor, and airborne, the standard American three commanders against Festung, lightning war, and mobile defense. And we've seen Festung chosen by Cheese before. He tends to like these non-meta, quote-unquote, commanders. And he's made pretty good use of them in this tournament so far. And he was not able to defeat OMG Pop with his strategy, but we'll see if he can have better luck against Looney here. Two squads of riflemen being fielded by Looney, no extra rear echelon. Sometimes we see an extra rear echelon on this map because of the amount of time you have to spend bat capping early game is quite high. But he's just going to go straight for riflemen, and Cheese has gone with an MG42 first. Possibly to protect his Pios here as they try and lay down some defenses on the fuel point. Actually, it looks like he's moving them straight towards the cutoff for now. Riflemen making their way across the strategic points in the north while the rear echelon troops take control of the fuel in the south. After his MG42, Cheese will field a squad of grenadiers, second squad of grenadiers in production, third squad of riflemen in production from Looney. No engagements yet. In fact, I was wrong. MG42 going straight for the building. Interesting. Interesting play. Moving straight for that building to protect this area so that maybe he can get some harassment done with the south fuel. We'll see how he utilizes this building. Grenadiers skipping past the cutoff to go for the BP. So it looks like he's going to play a pretty victory point centric opening, trying to make sure he never gets triple capped. The MG42 is actually going to leave the building. Interesting opening here from the Ostheer. I've never seen anything quite like this. Pios just doing back capping. Grenadiers now will secure building control while the MG42 does capping. The first engagement looks like it's going to happen here / here. Riflemen's harassing the fuel will take building control as they see Grenadiers and Pios moving up to engage. With Grenadiers available to support here, Pios firing at short range, only one east facing window. Riflemen need to find a better way to engage. More riflemen moving to support from the north. They can set up a good flank, a nice crisp flank. Pios just took building control though. Needs to be careful how he engages here. Meanwhile, this engagement, riflemen, only two of these riflemen are currently firing on the building, which will result in them losing that engagement. He needs to reposition slightly. MG42 is moving to support as well. Rear echelon troops, however, will continue harassing throughout the south. Riflemen in green cover engaging these Pios. These riflemen engaging the Grenadiers. It looks like this engagement will probably go to Looney the way it's currently set up, although it may take some time. The advantage for Looney here is that he has pushed these Grenadiers out of the capture circle. He does not have any fuel coming in from this point right now. And he's losing the engagement. If support does not arrive soon, Riflemen will defeat both of these squads, force retreats. Starting to look like a pretty late retreat from those Grens. They need to get out of there. There they go. MG42 still contending with various squads over here. The building has been secured by Riflemen. Grenadiers and MG42 had to pull back to a more defensive position. These rear echelon troops are looking for an opportunity here on the flank. Not sure what they're going to try and do. Riflemen in the capture circle will finally be forced to retreat by Grenadiers moving to support. And Looney has chosen airborne and fielded a quick squad of Pathfinders and tech grenades. So none of his early fuel going to an officer purchase just yet. Spending that early fuel advantage on grenades and Pathfinders for his manpower. Curious to see how he'll take advantage of that. With grenades, he can of course smoke that machine gun. Pathfinders may be able to snipe it at range with their crits. So far, map control very much in Looney's favor. Cheese kind of struggling to break his containment, but he will be able to get this strategic and fuel points back under control. Still holds the center VP. He's not been triple capped. In fact, no victory points held by Looney at all, so he's doing fine for victory point control. Pretty okay for preserving his manpower. And now slowly getting the fuel and victory points back, so he seems to be in an alright position. Pathfinders bleed that flamethrower squad hard on their advance. With riflemen supporting here from the south. falling dangerously low.
Objective secured.
Pathfinders will leave the building. Not going to retreat them just yet. 2 squads here in the north chase away those grenadiers. 2 squads of grenadiers with full health remaining to support. Looks like Cheese could win that engagement if they expose themselves at long range.
They got us zeroed in here.
Not going to do that for now. Riflemen moving to take the center VP. Pathfinders and riflemen moving to the south to engage these wounded grenadiers, try and push them back to base and get some territory in the south back under control. There's the first grenade toss, very nearly wiping that machine gun. Another grenade on these pumped grenadiers could be good. He has a lot of munitions for grenades. Not tossing yet though.
Air supply of field ordnance is available.
Cheese is clearly monitoring the engagement, so grenade probably wouldn't connect. He's going to give it a toss anyway. Late dodge, but preserves the squad. He'll retreat them immediately. Grenadiers look like they will win this engagement. These riflemen will be forced to retreat. Ooh, he catches those grenadiers' retreat path, though. With these riflemen, I think we might see a squad wipe here. That's going to be close. That's going to be close. There they go. Nice wipe. Nice pickup with those riflemen on the retreat. He brought the squad very low with that initial grenade toss. Nice follow-up. Nice follow-up on the flank. That was a nice play. I think that is the first squad wipe of the game. 1 full squad of grenadiers. And Cheese has inflicted decent manpower bleed on his opponent. 2 pathfinders, a lot of riflemen taken down. As for losses, it looks like things are dead even. So really, that squad wipe is a big win for Looney there. His model losses is almost exactly even, so getting that squad wipe helps secure him a slight manpower advantage. And your inherent manpower advantage as U.S. forces is important to maintain. And since he's gone with Captain, he's going to lose a little bit of anti-infantry capability until, for some time, trying to offset that with Pathfinders, of course. And that squad wipe will go a long way to continue to keep up the pressure.
Just got cut off.
Rear echelon troops will be forced to retreat away from that flamethrower. And then he's going to start taking control of territory here in the north. This squad of grenadiers is dangerously positioned. I think we may see that wiped on retreat once he decides to retreat. If he can soft retreat along a safe path rather than retreating through pathfinders and riflemen, he may be able to get that squad out alive. I'm not sure. Looney's going to make a move to wipe that squad, although he probably should with this quantity of forces in the area. That is just asking to get wiped. Captain's going to encounter him first. This squad of riflemen in the retreat path will get suppressed by an MG42 though, so they should be able to get away fine since these 2 squads move to capture territory rather than try and secure the wipe. Captain will retake this sector here in the north, and then Grenadiers will move along the south to start harassing territory down here. We've got 2 victory points in Cheese's control. Looney moving to take 1 in the north there. Grenadiers working on the fuel here in the south. These riflemen moving to work on the south rear echelon troop support, and we've got an ambulance on the field now as well. I'm wondering what Looney's next fuel purchase will be. If he decides to go for Stuart, he'll have a pretty powerful weapon with which to battle these Grenadiers, harass them, bleed manpower. And if he decides to go for Pack Howitzer, that might be a fun manpower bleed tool as well. And of course, he's also, if he feels the need for a machine gun, he can always paradrop one despite not having gone lieutenant tier. Here in Cheese's base, we do have Battle Phase 2 open, and he's actually going to skip tier 2 and go straight for a tank. Once that Panzer IV/Ostwind hits the field, Looney may find himself in a bit of trouble. Having gone airborne, he can paradrop an AT gun. He's got a captain, though, for bazookas. He can produce AT guns out of the base. So its impact will probably be dramatic, but not game-ending. I think we might be looking at a squad wipe here in the south. Rifle grenade to turn the engagement. That Grenadier had stuck around that range. I don't know how it would have gone. Rifleman had the health advantage there. They both decided to retreat, though, neither one wanting to lose a full squad. Ambulance moves to heal some riflemen here in this area, and the entire north is falling into American control as a result of this nice forward healing and reinforcement position. And there's the Pack Howitzer. Pack Howitzer in production from Looney. It has been buffed this patch, so I'll be interested to see how that performs against some of Cheese's clustered infantry formations, if he can get some good shots off. Captain moving into close range on those Grenadiers will force a retreat. Riflemen may be able to take control of this cutoff. Cheese in a pretty bad resource position. Having gone tier 3, he wants to get that tank out as quick as possible, and taking this cutoff is going to delay his tank significantly. Pathfinders will be forced to retreat there in the north. Rifleman and Captain moving up here. Pios will retreat as well, and there it is. Only 10 fuel now coming in for Cheese, having lost control of his cutoff, but he has made a bit of a play here for the north. Once he gets this fuel point under his control, it'll start coming back in at 20 and be reasonably quick, and he'll be able to get that tier 3 unit out in a respectable amount of time. Meanwhile, the pack howitzer rolling up into position to fire on some infantry. Grenade gets dodged right there by those grenadiers. That squad will be forced to retreat after losing one model to a bazooka snipe from the captain. Squad of riflemen also forced to retreat by grenadiers in a short range, and these two squads are moving to harass the fuel again. And the south fuel also being harassed by rear echelon troops, finding a way to back cap with them even 10, 11 minutes into the game. It's always good to keep those rear echelon troops active and capping where possible. And the pack howitzer has moved up to fire at something. Flamethrower catches this ambulance out of position, but it's probably not going to really be able to do anything other than harass this territory. But it does mean the ambulance has to pull back, pack howitzer has to pull back, stop firing.
The enemy is taking our territory.
The rear echelon troops are going to work on the south VP. Grenadiers work on the center VP. No triple cap, I don't think, for either player. Cheese continues to have a significant VP lead, and that's a very valuable thing to have as Ostfair. You can secure an early VP lead like this, and then you lose an engagement. It gives you lots of time to think carefully about what you want to do next. MG42 trying to suppress this. Probably not going to succeed if the captain throws up on me. That's pretty much a dead machine gun, so he's just going to get that out of there. Rear echelon troops continue to work the south. 3 squads of grenadiers working on the south as well, and still no tier 3 unit from Cheese. He could go Ostwind right now, and he chooses to do so. He doesn't want to wait any longer, doesn't want to further delay. Or he changed his mind, cancels the Ostwind. He's just going to try and wait for Panzer IV. It's going to take him another full minute before that hits the field, and meanwhile the US Forces player is cooking his major. Once that major's on the field, it'll open up US tanks, so... Full squad got wiped though. The rear echelon troops apparently all died. I don't know what got them. Maybe a grenade or something. Rear echelon troops got wiped. Now they both lost one full squad. Losing grenadiers hurts a lot more than losing rear echelon troops though. He may choose to get a second one of those. He has to spend quite a bit of manpower on reinforcements, and the pack howitzer of course put a pretty big dent in his manpower as well. May need to continue floating if he wants paratroopers or a quick Sherman, depending on how the timing works out. But as you can see, a lot of the map is red right now, so having that extra squad of rear echelon troops can be nice. Get some of those territories back under control. Grenades being exchanged here will result in some retreats, but no squad wipes. MG42 set up on the fuel will prevent those riflemen from advancing. Smoke being deployed on those grenadiers to allow riflemen to close the gap, I think. Not sure why these riflemen are not moving to support in this engagement though. That's a full hell squad of grenadiers right there. They're going to simply take building control. This cutoff needs to be restored by those riflemen. Grenade tossed in the house only does minor damage. Pack howitzer bombarding the area may be able to do significant damage as well though if they continue to simply sit in there. At about half health now. Pathfinders making their way towards the north, and finally a Panzer IV is in production. Meanwhile, still quite a bit of fuel to go before the Sherman hits the field, since Cheese has excellent fuel control right now, having 30 fuel coming in and only 16 coming in from his opponent. So he's definitely gonna catch his opponent off guard with that Panzer IV. But he left that grenadier squad in the house for too long, and it gets wiped by the pack howitzer. Pack howitzer gets a pretty decent return on investment right there. Haven't seen it do much of anything up until this point, but getting a squad wipe is always very valuable. Now that there's a Panzer IV on the field, we may see Tier 2 constructed. There it is. Tier 2 is going to go up, and he's going to need an anti-tank gun out of that to support it against American tanks, which are probably going to be on their way very soon. Although we are seeing Looney struggle a little bit to get fuel back under his control. Finally, riflemen are making a play for the south fuel pretty much unopposed. One squad of grenadiers available to counter. Pack howitzer moving to take shots at whatever it gets an opportunity against. This fuel point will be preserved, however, by the Panzer IV, which pushes away those infantry squads. Anti-tank rifle grenade bounces off of the Panzer IV right there. Riflemen should probably retreat immediately. Pack howitzer firing on some infantry over here. Shot is off target. Captain is available, however. If he secures building control, he may be able to at least keep that Panzer IV at bay. Panzer IV is making its way towards the squad of riflemen in the south, and they will get fuel captured before being forced to retreat. Panzer IV already up to 2 kills, and an AT gun is in production from the U.S. Forces player. In addition to his captain, he should be pretty comfortable against it. If he decides to skip Sherman and go straight for Jackson, he should be easily able to deal with that Jackson. And since there's only 3 squads of grenadiers remaining, and I suspect an anti-tank gun is next from Cheese, probably pretty comfortable in the infantry situation. Wow, Panzer IV brought very low by bazooka fire. Captain gets some nice penetrating shots off on that Panzer IV, and that's gonna be forced back. Pack howitzer bombarding. Ooh, gets a nice hit on those grenadiers right there as well. Pathfinders with rifleman support moving to engage this machine gun. If they fire a smoke grenade, the engagement is effectively won. It's just gonna throw a frag grenade. They're in green cover, but it will convince them to pack up and simply retreat. So the engagement is won, and the fuel will begin to be taken by those Pathfinders. The AT gun is on the field, reinforcing here by the Major. Still has control of the house. Pack howitzer is a little exposed.
Losing a capture point.
Panzer IV is about to be fully repaired, and when it moves to re-engage, Cheese may be able to win this battle for the center, but a Jackson is in production, having Pathfinders on the field, 3 vetted squads of riflemen against 3 squads of grenadiers, a flamethrower, 1 machine gun pack. It looks like the American player has a slightly more powerful infantry army and a more powerful tank army, a tank army that directly counters what Cheese has fielded, so should be poised to take full control of the map as long as he executes flawlessly. Smoke grenade deployed against these grenadiers.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Jackson making its way to the front line along the road. Bazookas connecting. Wow, big shot right there. Bazookas also penetrating the Panzer IV. 1 more shot, and we could see that Panzer IV go down, but the Jackson just pulled out of range. Has to get to safety away from the anti-tank gun. American anti-tank gun also not able to get in range to fire on the Panzer IV. And both of their tanks will pull back extremely low health for some much needed repairs. AT gun falls dangerously low. The infantry. Pathfinders engaging. Grenadiers right here. Rifle grenade will be dodged. Nice dodge. But Pathfinders have lost the engagement and will be forced to retreat. Riflemen moving up actually to support from the behind, however, will force the Grenadiers to also retreat. Ulster map control still pretty good though. Has 1 fuel point. Retaking control of his cutoff. He has 2 victory points. Still has a victory point lead. Looney is kind of struggling to make plays against his opponent and take out priority targets. Anti-tank gun's still alive. Panzer IV still alive. No squad wipes since that initial squad wipe against those Grenadiers. He's spending a lot of his manpower on reinforcements. He will take control of the south munitions though. He has very good munitions control. 225 munitions in the bank. If he does not field any paratroopers for their upgrades, he might consider unlocking BARs for his riflemen. Or just spending the munitions on whatever. If he saves it for armor-piercing rounds on his Jackson, that could be useful. Saves it for take-aim, AP rounds on his M1, that could be useful. And of course, there's the P-47. MG-42 here on the victory point, gets some kills on those riflemen. Don't think they're being monitored, and they get pinned before they can throw a grenade. There's the retreat. Getting away narrowly. Riflemen moving to harass the victory point in the south, but again, Cheese maintains victory point control despite being a little behind.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Until now. One squad of grenadiers making its way to the south to try and get that under control.
We have a full squad.
And there's now a Scot on the field. This should prove interesting. Haven't really seen the Scot post-patch. Supposedly its AoE profile has been made slightly more consistent. Very slight changes as far as I'm aware, so that should be fun to see. Grenadier Blob is trying to brute force those Pathfinders out of the building. May find itself vulnerable to pack howitzer fire, though. Nice hit from the pack howitzer suppresses both of those squads. And the engagement is won with one pack howitzer shot. So pack howitzer buff very much in effect for that engagement. Always fun to see. And rifleman on the flank. Frag that MG42 and it will be wiped on the retreat. Scott is moving to support against infantry formations in this area, and with riflemen taking control of that MG42, Cheese will now struggle to retake victory point control in the north. The Jackson's available to support against the Panzer IV here in the center as well. AT gun support moving up. Jackson misses his first shot against that Panzer IV, unfortunately. Continues to maintain range. P-47 just got called in. Anti-tank gun shot misses. Jackson shot, however, connects. One more shot from the Jackson could seal the kill against that thing. There it is, it connects. Wow, that plane just got shot down, though. P-47 is probably going to destroy this Panzer IV on the next pass. I don't think he's going to get clear of the strike zone in time to prevent the plane from locking on. Especially not if he stops moving. I'm pretty sure the plane's already locked on. I don't know. We'll see if it makes the second pass or not. MG42 set up here. Will suppress these infantry formations. The pack trying to bombard them as well. Looks like the P-47 did not lock on in time, and the Panzer IV will get repaired. Barely. But it's going to be forced off the field for quite some time while the P-47 circles around. Grenadiers being forced to retreat left and right by riflemen, grenades. And so he's spending a lot of his munitions on grenades in the P-47. He had a bit of float before, now he's back down to 52. Probably not really in a position to upgrade his BARs. Might be something to consider. Interesting usage of the captain to supervise the battalion command post. Now that his tier 4 units are kind of done, he might bring him back into the battlefield. Or even just back cap with him, since he can sprint and he's quite quick. For now, he's just going to leave him there as he micros his vehicles. Another Grenadier squad will be forced to retreat from the victory point by the Scot, which is up to 5 kills, doing pretty well, although it looks like it hasn't gotten any miracle wipes yet, which is one of the things this patch was meant to address, so that's a good sign. Panzer IV has been fully repaired. P-47 strike ends, and it's going to make its way towards the south for now. Jackson currently still hovering in the north. Should be able to do some work down there. He's up to 160 fuel. He's chosen Festoon Armor Doctrine. He will have access to the Pack-43, but not Tigers. So he should be able to create a zone of protection for his Panzer IV and other Tier 3 units if he can float enough manpower to get that Pack-43 constructed. And then from there we might see him produce some extra tanks, although for now he's going to spend all of his manpower on this mortar, as well as, of course, this second AT gun. So, investing a lot in Tier 1 and Tier 2 for now. No doctrinal purchases, no more Tier 3. Trying to set up a strong core defensive support base before he techs up any further. LMG Grenadiers with flamethrower support moving to support against these infantry. Jackson nails the Panzer IV, but both anti-tank guns are well positioned, and that Jackson is maneuvering terribly. Ooh, they actually switched targets to fire at the Scot instead. Jackson still vulnerable, but it's in the fog of war, and he will not finish it off. Scot goes down. Panzer IV does need some repairs, but that was a nice play by those anti-tank guns, taking out the Scot, almost taking out the Jackson, gets away with the main gun destroyed crit. I'm surprised that Panzer IV didn't try and follow up and destroy that thing. It probably would be able to quite easily even now. It's got a destroyed main gun, he's got some time. If he throws repair critical on there, he can fix the main gun. However, so something to consider. Panzer IV does have enough health currently to withstand one Jackson shot. I don't know if it would be able to withstand a Jackson and an AT gun shot, though. Packhouts are firing on these Grenadiers, suppresses them, threatens to wipe them as they try and take control of this fuel point. Wants to try and get that under control, though victory point's still pretty even. Cheese has lost his lead. Jackson pushed him sufficiently off the map, but he's now 100 victory points behind. Anti-tank gun is making its way around the central house. It's well positioned to counter this Panzer IV here as it attempts to push away these riflemen.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
South munitions point being taken control of by these riflemen. There's the squad wipe. That's the first squad wipe in a long time. Second squad wipe of the game against the Ostheer by that Sherman at the 26-minute mark. Flamethrower pile is falling dangerously low. Jackson's been repaired and is engaging that Vet 2 Panzer IV. There it is! The anti-tank guns get into position and finish that thing off. Panzer IV provided the perfect bait. And that will be a Scott and a Jackson destroyed. Panzer IV has yet to be taken out, and there's a command Panzer IV. He feels sufficiently comfortable with the destruction of that Jackson that he thinks he can get a command P4 out, command tank, and be in a pretty okay position to keep that alive and make good use of that. Chases away a squad of Pathfinders immediately. He still has 2 squads of pilots on the field for repairs of this P4. He will, of course, have to manage the threat of P47s as well as he can. But as for right now, Looney is spending all of his munitions on armor-piercing rounds, all of his munitions on grenades. Command tank looking for an opportunity here in the south. Does take a little damage from the pack howitzer and AT gun, but it should be able to chase away these squads of riflemen. Here in the north, the Sherman is firing on these Grenadiers. They're probably going to want to be careful. No HE shells connecting yet. Command tank and command and Panzer IV move down to the south, push away these riflemen. Kind of a late retreat from them as well. These squads of Grenadiers will be forced to retreat by the Sherman. That squad of riflemen forced to retreat by the German tanks. Map still mostly in Looney's control. Doesn't quite have a triple cap going, but he will soon, and Cheese really needs to get his tanks repaired and make a big play. Get out of his base, get some territory under control. Looks like that anti-tank gun is going to get wiped by Pathfinders at range. Maybe. Just standing there. The pack howitzer takes it out with the high explosive barrage. Vet 2 AT gun here in the Ostheer base, nicely positioned. It has a line on that Sherman. It's taking an awfully long time to react. Is he really going to lose that Sherman just to an AT gun in the face? Oh, that shot missed. Why isn't it moving? Oh no, the Sherman is destroyed. It was just sitting there. I think that might have been a bad rally point or something. No, I don't think so. That was the existing Sherman. I don't know what that was. Sherman goes down. Squad's reinforcing here by the ambulance. G's trying to take control of some territory here on the fuel point. These riflemen are going to get pushed away by the, by the command tank and playback over. I hope he didn't disconnect. It kind of looked like he just went AFK and then got disconnected, but it's 28 minutes into the game, way too late for a regame. It's kind of a shame if that's what happened, but either way, that's the end of it. Cheese wins, which means Cheese is now the new star-crossed king. So good game. Axis wins, and we're gonna select a new challenger.